Skybow is a low-code platform which is completely integrated into SharePoint and Microsoft 365. We focus on forms, we focus on data integration, and we have three very, let's call them, easy values. We have simplicity, so everything that we do should make life easier. We try to do that for all our processes, also internally, to try it to make it as easy as possible. That's our goal. But next to that, everything that we do and also everything that deliver needs to be cost efficient. Especially if you talk about a low-code platform, I think it's essential that you, in the end of the day, spare some cost if you're using it. So that's definitely a value we hold very high. And then lastly, and this is something that I think is quite unique to us, we try to make everything scalable. This means that we are not only a low-code platform that is focusing on the development of business applications, but also on sharing them, on making templates. So basically, we try that every effort that you have with the Skybow platform, you only have once, and you never have to do it again. You can use it as a template. You can use your work. Use work collaboratively, and I think this is the way we approach working. And it is all behind those values. I know it's a very easy way to formulate that, but I think it grows deep into our organization. We are a Swiss company. We were founded in 2015. At this point, we have way above 300 customers in over 30 countries, and I think that's basically it from the start. I think we can show you a lot of new things. If you have never seen Skybow before, I think this is going to be a very interesting webinar, but it might be overwhelming at some point. If you like, you can always contact me in the chat. If you have questions, I can give them through to Matthias. So feel free to use this chat. I will also try to keep the conversation rolling with some questions. And I wish you all lots of fun, and I hope we all learned something today.
Hey, thanks, Sebastian. So at least for all the people who know me, I'm not the guy of doing a lot of slides. I'm trying to make it with a lot of demos, or I've prepared a demo. So I've just one more slide, and that's the one here to explain you what I'm going to show you today. And that's actually an employee onboarding solution. That's the use case that I want to demonstrate you today. It's based on two default lists or template lists that you can create when you create a new list in SharePoint. You have the option of around 10 templates to choose from, and one is the recruitment tracker and the other one is an employee onboarding list, which is and I created a solution based on that, which combines both of them. So the scenario is really, I have this recruitment tracker list, which is the one here. It holds all the candidates that I'm looking for a position for someone new in my team, and I've taken that candidate list, but I also created the candidates as a case file, and a case file is a specific master detail relation that is one of our things you can do within Skybow, on the Skybow platform, which we call a dossier. We will see that later on. So it's a candidate dossier with documents. That's the case here. And we also have an onboarding task list, which means if I set a candidate to active, then it creates some onboarding tasks, and those are coming from a task template list. So those are the ones down here. It's just a task list with, you have to do this and that on the first day. So that's, again, just on the default employee onboarding template from Microsoft, and I extended it a little bit. As usual with Skybow, we have customized forms, and we have also format views, and that's a very cool addition to SharePoint. which was coming in only a couple of days ago. I hope that most of you never heard of it before, so that's pretty new stuff. And of course, the power, I want to show you the power of our new action builder, which is used to interact with the list items in SharePoint. So that's the demo case I would like to show you today, and yeah, making it as interactive as possible. If you have questions, just raise them and I can show you, or I can answer it. Good. Jumping directly into the demo. Here we are. So that's the site. And we have these two lists here in the top navigation. I have this recruitment tracker list and I have the onboarding list. And another thing I have is here I have an administration part. You see that with this little lock here. And I have a task template list, which means here that's an administration list where you can add some tasks and assign them to a specific position, because some tasks, they need to be done only for specific positions, like project manager. You have to order this project license, and some other, the introduction as an example, is for every position. So it's just a simple list. If I edit that one, you see I just assign them to different here. Those are the positions, and I simply assign the task to this position. And based on that, I will later on create the tasks that are needed for this specific position. So this is just my task template list, which is there in the background. Going back to the start page, what I prepared here is just a list of all my open candidates, and here down here we would see the onboarding task is still empty, and I will show you how they get filled. If I open up an item from that list, that's the case file I was talking about. So the candidate itself is a very simple dossier or case file, just having some metadata. Those are the default ones from the template list, just organized in 2 columns, and I have a documents tab, and that's it for now. If I go back, what we can do from here, so directly from the start page, we have these list actions. So this is a feature from Skybow that we can add some actions to this command bar here on the top. So I can directly start from here with a new candidate, which shows me the new form. It's already pre-populated for some fields, like the application date I set to today. The recruiter is me, so the one who's logged in, and I just give it a name. For example, my colleague Chris. He is applying for a designer, and already on the new form I have the possibility of a document library, and I can use here, for example, I have the CV already received via an email, or however, I could drag it also from the email directly. Here I have it stored on my local machine, so I simply drag it on over that section, and you see the gray border. Good to have the right part. And that's another thing, it directly shows me the edit form of that document. So here I can give it a title if I want, and I can give it a document type. So let me take CV, and we will see where that shows up later on. And yeah, maybe I take some notes or a URL. For now I'm fine, I'm just saving it. And we are directly going to the display form. Here on the display form, We have this progress, which is just a simple choice. And now we can whether go and use our command bar actions. Those are available directly on the forum. Here I could say, okay, this is a topic, or I can set this Christoph to active and start the onboarding. That's the new thing I will show you right afterwards, where the power of the new action builder is behind. But here I want to show you something else first. So this is my case file. I can of course start dragging some other documents here. It's the same here. You can choose whatever. Let's take certificate. It's uploaded. Oh, that was probably a very big file. Yeah. Okay. And let me close it for now. If we now look at the start page, since skybow is fully embedded into SharePoint, so native integrated, we can of course make use of everything which is there from out-of-the-box SharePoint. For example, I created another view to show some documents. Maybe let me reload once again. That we also see that's a certificate down here. So we can make use of any filter possibilities. That's probably not yet set. But here, if I select, then we see only the document from Edward, because this list might get pretty big. But that's an out-of-the-box functionality. You can say this list here should filter that one over there. And another thing is this progress that we have here. Now with the latest updates of SharePoint, there is also a board view or a Kanban view coming, and I've created this board view here, and it's really simple. Just create, and now you have this choice for a board. That's what I did here. So that's my board view, and that's just another view where you can see in which status this candidate will be. And now we can of course simply use drag and drop to, that's just drag and drop. So drop it to offer send, for example. And in the backend we can also execute actions when this is done. So we can use something we have what is called a triggered action, and those are executed when you add an item or update an item. And by dragging this from left to right, we always have this update. So we can then react on this change and execute something. And that's, for example, what I have configured also when I drag it from here, for example, to active. This time it will go and create my tasks, because then I said, okay, this guy is hired, and now in the backend it's running. It can take some seconds. Let's see, maybe it's already done or not. We would see them in this list, not yet, or in this view here. It's not yet, so we have to wait some more seconds. In the meantime, something which is really new, and I would like to demonstrate you here as well. Maybe some of you already recognize that I have only one button here, and that's the skybow button, a list action. And by default, you would have all these default buttons: share, synchronize, integrate, all these buttons. And with the latest update in SharePoint, you're now able to hide, rename, change the buttons which are available in the command bar. And that's really a cool feature in my opinion, because now we can really hide all the other buttons and just So only the skybow button is left. So the new button is gone, the editing grid mode and all these things. And that can be done, I already see the question, using view formattings. So maybe you already know the possibility here to format a column. You can say, okay, I have some different possibilities to format a column itself, and we also have a view to format. So on view formats, by default, you can choose like alternating rows or whatever, and if you go to the expert mode, or the, I don't know how they call it, let's see, maybe in another view. Advanced mode, sorry. So here you can choose, okay, this one, and then you turn on the advanced mode, and that's already the JSON formatting for this alternating rows. And what you can do right now is, going back, the only downside is this is per view because it's a view formatting. You have your view, let's say this one here, open candidates. I can say format current view, and now you have a new possibility here, which is called command bar props. And then you have an array of commands, and you simply have a list of, or always a key, and I can show you, this is the list. That's actually the article about it. So all the buttons, and you see every button has a key. So Power BI, comment, edit, delete, and so on and so forth. Every button has a key, and it's very, very simple. You simply say key, new, and then you can say hide it, or change the title, or if I would say false, preview, you see the new button is back there. And that's pretty cool, because it gives us really the possibility to hide everything from the user which is not needed, like or which is not, which can confuse the user. Sorry, my window is freezed. Is that the case? Do you still see my screen? Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I think it's
Maybe
not
it's
freeze.
just, okay, so it's only for one person probably. Then I will proceed. Good. So the options you have here is, yeah, you specify the key, and then you can say, should it be hidden? You want to change the text or the title. You can give it an icon. You can set if it's primary button or not, which means this one here. This is a primary one. This is not a primary. So the primary one gets the color of the of your site, and you can even choose the position where it is, and a section type. So there's a primary section and an overflow section, and the overflow section is this one, this part here. So you can say, okay, this button, the new button, should be in the overflow section or in the primary section. And last but not least, you have the selection mode. So when it's similar to skybow action list actions, there we also have the context, current list, single selection, multi-selection. So that's actually the same. And it's just this command, and then you have one part for each button. And the good thing is, or at least for us, it's not that the skybow list actions is not useful anymore. I see it the other way around, because you're not able to add additional buttons. You can just change the existing ones or hide them. But to add existing or new ones, you can use skybow list actions like this one here. And also on our buttons, you can execute multiple actions and not just one. And it really makes sense to me to, to hide everything which is not needed, only show what I would like to show to the user. And that's really, really cool, I would say. Not sure if it's already in everyone's tenant, so maybe it's still in rolling out, but I think it should be there. At least in our tenants, it's everywhere. So, and that's a simple thing to add. The only downside, like I said, you need to do that on every view, which means if I change the view to this one, I see all the buttons again. On the all items, I removed them. So that's here I have the same configuration. That's pretty cool because it's also reflected on the views that you place on the start page, this one here. So also here you don't have this strange content type buttons. It's just the one that I've added, and that's it. In the meantime, also the tasks are created. And yeah, I can do that whether from the board view I just showed you before, or I can open up the, I can do that from here as well. So I also integrated the same functionality into the command, the list actions. So here I can select it and I can set the status like this, or I can do that also from the form. So which means I open it up here, and then I simply say set status, set active, and start onboarding. And what it's doing, it takes all my tasks, and here it's even better because I'm automatically redirected to my onboarding task tab, which is now visible. It was not visible before, but if the candidate is active, then I show this additional tab showing the open tasks, the completed tasks, and from here I can proceed and complete those tasks. And again here I can do that from the case file, from the dossier here, or also let's say I'm here. Now I don't have a candidate anymore, but also I have all the onboarding tasks. So this is my list of onboarding tasks. The only thing I have extended in that list is I added this lookup from the list to the recruitment tracker, and I connect them. So that's just a simple lookup. And I see those three are for Christoph because he was a designer, and Edward was something else, not a designer, and that's why he doesn't need this Adobe CC license. And from here, something else I've built in is I can now also use this complete from here, but a complete which asks you to add a date. So for example here, when was it completed? Maybe it was not completed, maybe I completed it yesterday, but today I will complete it. By default, of course, it's easy to just set the today's date, but I can also ask the user to put in something. So if I would just leave it blank, I can also use some validation, so nothing is done. But if I put in or a wrong date, let's say I use something like that, something 2023, so this will not work as well. And if I put in something correct, let's say yesterday, 3/7/2023, then yeah, it's gone because it's not here anymore. It's here now. So I set the flag to completed, and also the date you just entered into that box is taken over into the completed on field. And again, the screen is just a simple formatting, view formatting. Yeah, that's basically the scenario. And as you saw, we can trigger these things to complete the task or to create those tasks from everywhere, from the form, from the list view, from the dossier, using the board view and drag and drop. So because also here I could, theoretically, I could create a board view and just drag those things over. That would also work. Yeah. Now, if we have a look into the backend, or maybe are there some questions so far for that scenario?
Yes, we have 3 questions. The first one is, will the view formatting also be active when showing sublists in lists or libs in dossiers?
There we anyway, I think no. It's a good question. But let's see, that should be, what do I have a sublist? I have this one. I think the question is about here. Let's say we have tasks here. I guess you mean, I mean here we anyway have a limited set of actions because those actions, or the command bar actions here, they are fully built by us, or in general the whole sublist control is built by us. It's not the out of the box. There's no control like this, so we have to build it by ourselves. But I guess the question would be, if you say on the task list to hide the new button, that it's also hidden here. I think no, but we can quickly test it, I guess. Let's just grab what we. So let's say we do it here, format, advanced, and now after that one, creating a command bar props. No, should be without that. So new, hide, true, and the others. So like this. So if the new button is gone, I would say this is not here because it's our own button. I guess we have to. Yeah, it's still there. Something we would most probably have to extend, but since that's really new, like, or only a couple of days, that's something we haven't implemented yet.
The second question that we have is, tasks is just a list, right? And I think the answer yes is yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's just, in that case, it's just a list. So what we did, or what I did is, if you create a list here on SharePoint, you have those templates. Yeah, those are 2, 4, 6, 8. And I took this one and the employee onboarding. And the employee onboarding is exactly that list here. It's just a custom list with a couple of columns. And I only added one additional column, which is the employee lookup. But it's just this list in that scenario. Yeah. And what else? No, it's not. It's not. Anyway, in question is if it's not the old SharePoint task list. No. In general, in modern, they never use the old list templates like tasks, events, calendar, and so on. They will all not work anymore, or at least not very good. They are not modern, so the approach is you always create a custom list, you add your columns, and then maybe you add something on top like calendar view or a board view and so on. But using the old templates is not really something I would do anymore. but that's just you can still use them, but they have sometimes or they use some very specific columns which are not supported anymore in modern, and that's why I would not advise you to use them. Can I create a Teams task? You probably mean a planner task, maybe. Not yet, or maybe with a custom REST call, you can probably do it. I've never tried, to be honest, but we are thinking about it, thinking about creating additional actions anyway to have more possibilities into Teams, but that's not yet decided or how we do it, but that we extend our possibilities in our action builder, and maybe that's the next topic to show you with the new action builder, that we extend more action types, which like create a planner task, maybe write a chat message into a Teams channel or something like that, that we have more. You can do already a lot just using APIs and custom code, but of course it would be easier to have predefined action types you just configure, and that's where we definitely are working on. Is it possible to select a recruitment document for a candidate that is already in the doclib? Yeah, that's a technical thing, since the documents which are stored here, they are all in a document library, and for each candidate we create a folder. So they are all stored in the same document library. Right now, the candidate view, they are stored here, and they are stored just in this document library. And in this case, you would have, if it's whether somewhere else, and just use a link. So let's say you want to, it's not a good scenario, but for example, you want to link that document here to in another case file, then you would have to copy the link and in the other place you can create a link. That's the only way to do that. Put in the link, create it, and then you have a link to the other document. But those are really stored in the backend in a document library, and yeah, if they want to be used somewhere else, then that's the case. But maybe let's proceed to the backend, to the action builder.
Yeah, and I will collect also all the questions, and then we can do them in the question round afterwards.
Exactly. So if I go to Solution Studio, let's start it once again, onboarding. So that's my solution, and here is my case file. And what we have here is the main list. That's my case file list, where we can change the forms, the display, the new and the edit form. And one thing to demonstrate a new action builder, which gives us a lot more possibilities, is we have this action here. This one is pretty simple. It's just updating the status. But if we go here under actions, command bar, we have these two for now. Of course, we can configure a lot more and other statuses as well. I didn't do that. But I have an active and start onboarding button. The same I have on other places, like on list view and so on. But this one here shows me the following. So what I did here is, when I click set active and start onboarding, then of course first is a simple update where I set the progress to active of the current item, and after that we can use our new get items action. With the get items action, I'm going to my onboarding task template list. I simply select all the task templates where the position contains, because we can assign it to several positions, contains an expression, and the expression is just the position that is coming from the candidate. So if I have a candidate for as a designer, I get all the task templates having designer set in the positions field. That's the only thing what I do here, and this here returns a collection of all my tasks. And then in the combination of that one, I can use our new loop action, a loop control, and in the loop I have to specify a loop array, and the loop array can be a lot. It can be a can be the output of get items action. It can be a multi people picker, a multi lookup, a multi choice, even an array may be stored in a variable. So let's say I define a variable here and I initialize it here as an array, or I use our set variable action and set an array in that variable. I can also use the variable in here as the iterating array. So it can be a lot. In my case, it's very simple. I'm just taking the get onboarding tasks items, and that's the new part here. With the new action builder, we have the possibility to access outputs from previous actions, and first is this one. From the update, we just get the ID. That's not interesting, but from the get onboarding tasks, I have the items, and that's the only thing. I have to double click here, items, or I can also use IntelliSense, like here, actions, and here I can also access this, which is much faster than using the right part. And that's it. That's the thing I need to pass here. And then for each item that was returned in the get items action, it will execute these actions. I have only one because I want to add an item. In my case, I want to add an item to the onboarding list, which is my task list. And here we simply say, in my case, it's only the title and the completed by and the ID. So the ID is the ID from the current item. So the employee, that's the lookup I'm going to set. And up here, to get the title, it's another action output. Now I'm in the loop, and for each item in the loop, that's the one here, current item, I can then access the fields from these items using a dot. So dot title, dot ID, dot whatever. I can access these properties from the current item in the loop. So I simply pass the title from my onboarding task template list and the completed by. A very simple case here to get all the items. I could also add a show message, for example, so to show, okay, task 1 has been added, task 2 has been added, task 3 has been added. I can also do that. So like this, as a status, success, and then use a similar expression here, for example, this one. Has been added, for example, like that. So I can say blah 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 has been added. So that would work, and it would be executed for each task here. Yeah, here I'm also setting a variable that I automatically redirect to the task tab. So that's only on the display form. I open up the task tab directly using that variable, and in the end I'm going to reload. So that's my simple workflow, and now with this loop and condition control and get items and so on, we can really do a lot more. And it's also very easy to simply deactivate one action if it's not needed anymore. Those are all improvements which yeah, are feedbacks from all our customers and partners. That this is very useful if you don't want to delete something but still have it in here, but it should not be executed. Simply disable it. And now the same, what I did here, I simply took all these actions, I exported them. That's another new functionality here in that action builder. I can simply export all those actions, which gives me a JSON file, and then I went to the open candidates, which is my default view, and here on the view we have this list actions. That's this button here, for example, but also we have other buttons that we can add. Here, that's the one for the current list, to just open a form and then reload, so nothing special. But this one here, set status, here, this one here, is almost the same. I simply use the import button, and yeah, main difference here is I'm not redirecting to a specific tab afterwards. That's why it's not 100% the same, because I'm on the list view. But yeah, from here I simply imported those actions. Configuration is basically the same, so everything here is the same. So it's also very, very simple to have the same functionality, whether on the list view or on the command bar actions on the form, or also on the list view. Simply use the export import functionality to bring them over. Or if it's just about one single action, you can also use our copy functionality. Let's say this whole loop here, I can go here, say copy, then we see that over here as a copy. And if I now go somewhere else, it doesn't matter, even in another form, I have, for example, a trigger action as well. When you use the Kanban board, then I have this trigger action, which is executed all the time, updating and added. And then I have a condition which is checking, of course, is it active, is the progress changed, and not executed when you change the title or something else, only if the progress is changed. And I'm also checking if they're already, that's a query, if there are already tasks added. That's just another thing I'm going to check. But in the rest is more or less the same. In here as well, I'm getting the tasks, and the status is already set by drag and drop. And I'm simply getting the task and I'm creating a new item. But what we see here on the right is that the same control is available also in that editor. So I simply drag it and I have the whole configuration here as well. So that makes it very easy to bring actions and controls from one place to another place. Yeah, and last but not least, for those who don't know skybow in detail yet, is very quickly to show you Once built, we do have also the option here for package and publish. So we can make a new package or make a version of this solution. Now I have two. I have a 09 and 010, which includes everything, and I can then publish it everywhere. Does not need to be on the same tenant. It can be on another tenant. Here I just take another site, but it can be anywhere. And you see it was deployed with version 0.9, but there would be a 10 available. So I simply select update, next, 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 and everything is updated with the latest functionality. That's fully integrated into Solution Studio, so the whole update mechanism, change management of solutions is fully integrated. Good. So, what questions do we have?
To be honest, not much more. Yeah, best have a look at it. It's just.
Can the sublibs be named with a different column than ID? Not yet as well, but that's also something we know and we are working on to make it possible to, if I'm right, you're talking about the sub-library settings here. So these settings, which is for now hard-coded, to always parent list name dash ID. And we know that this is not the best if you, for example, sync the library with OneDrive, or if you go into the library and you see those folders. But that has also some technical reasons. We have that on the radar. We will provide a new possibility somewhere in the future, so it's really on our to-do list to be able to change that, to have another, because that's right now that's really the connection between the files and the main item, and we need to have another approach there. We need to have another connection, maybe with a lookup, and then be able to change the folder structure, that it's more clear if you sync it with OneDrive, that you already know there, okay, this is about candidate Christoph or so. That's not yet possible, but we are working on that. Action get item. Could I find an item inside a folder? Yes, you can do that. It's done with the scope recursive flag. So if you have folders, you can use scope recursive or recursive all. That's a different, because in the end it's camel query. The get items action is camel query here. So this is camel query. So here you can add, not sure anymore, I think it's on the query itself, or you can add a scope part in here. It's not yet possible through the builder here, this one, because that query editor we will also extend and make modern in the future with a lot more possibilities. So far it's not possible in here, but you can always add it just in the text here. Scope recursive or scope recursive all to include folders and items would be the right way, and it will work. Can you share the JSON command to hide buttons? Yes, sure. I can share the link where it's described. That's the one here. Ah, yeah. Thanks, Christoph. It's on the view scope recursive. So you simply add this part to the view like that, and then it should also work for files inside folders. Good. That's another article. Nope, that's. Are there any other questions, or maybe something about the new action builder? If not, yeah. We are more or less done. Like I said, there will be the recording. If you have questions afterwards, just get back to Sebastian or me on all the channels. Go to our website, ask for a demo, or just give Solution Studio a try. You can easily create your own account and start for free. I see some more questions. Action Builder is quite similar in skybow forms. Yeah, that's true because it's the same. It's exactly the same Action Builder and skybow forms, so skybow modern forms as a separate add-in is integrated into Solution Studio as well. So what we see here, the whole form part with actions and the Action Builder is also available as separate add-in. I was not focusing on that today, but yes, it's also there, and it's one-to-one the same. And is there any option to deploy a workflow to many sites or multiple sites, or one multiple times to a single site? First, yes, you can of course deploy a solution to 10 different sites. That's exactly the main thing here, that you can deploy the solution not just once, you can have multiple deployments, so it's just a list of all deployments. But to deploy multiple times to a single site, so you mean that you have more than one solution or different solutions deployed to one and the same site? Is that your question? Can a list of sites be? No, you can of course deploy. If you have you can have thousands of deployments. That's working. But I know if you do that just the manual way, next, choose the URL, then it can be quite difficult. But we also provide an API deployment, and the API deployment is here. If you use the skybow API, there's the documentation here how to use that API, and with the API you can trigger the deployment automatically. So in the API you simply pass an ID and the target URL, and you can even use a batch deployment for that. So you can, with this API endpoint, you can deploy to 100 sites once in one call. So your body just needs to have 100 of service ID web URL definitions, and the service ID you get, it's all described in that article. You create a service in Solution Studio here, because that's what you will do. If you choose skybow API, you will specify a service, and this will give you a service ID, and this has to be used on the I can post that link here as well. Yeah, with this you can automatically deploy solutions via the API. Is there a detailed description of the functions, expressions, and how to use them in Solution Studio? Yes, we do have. Let me go back here. Let me open up the action builder quickly. So if you have action builder, in general, we always have these little info icons, and there is a link to a knowledge base article, in that case about action builder, so which describes what's available where and so on, and each action has its own detailed article about with all the properties. But you're asking about the expression builder, and that's similar there. So if we have the expression builder, let's say here, you also have this info and a link to the expression builder, which describes the usage of the expression builder. Now, if you use assignment of function, since this is all based on JavaScript, we of course have not all the JavaScript functions documented on our side, because that you can look up in Google and everywhere. It's all based on JavaScript. So what you can do, for example, in function, you can write full JavaScript functions and whatever you need. And we only describe like our parts. But everything you can do in here using JavaScript is not documented on our side. Of course, we have a couple of examples or scenarios, but just the basics, and the rest is really, JavaScript, plain JavaScript, extended with placeholders and functions. And then I would say have a nice evening, and yeah, talk to you all soon. Thanks, Sebastian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christoph.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye. Have a nice evening.